going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rizq Podcast. This is episode 16. This episode is very special because we're doing things a little bit differently. On the podcast today, we've got Brother Abdul Hakim, founder of Sunnah Remedies. And just before getting onto the podcast, we were just discussing a little bit about what will we talk about. And there's so much that we can get from Abdul Hakim's journey and his story in his life. But what we want to do is we want to give as much relevant value and beneficial knowledge to people as possible, especially seeing as today is potentially the day before Ramadan. I don't know if it's confirmed for Ramadan tomorrow or for Friday, but either way, inshallah, it's in the coming days. So that's what we're doing on this episode. We're going to give you a whole heap of beneficial information for you guys to use, practical knowledge for you guys to use this Ramadan, and I'm really excited to have Abdul Hakim on. So, brother, how you doing? You okay?
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, hi, brother. You okay? Alhamdulillah. Long time,
bro. Long time, man. Like,
busy, mashallah. Yeah.
Bro, I think it wasn't too bad, bro. I came to see you. I think November time was the last time I came to see you.
No, November.
And then I come maybe every 3 or 4 months, but then obviously this lockdown happened.
SubhanAllah. Unprecedented.
Unprecedented times. You know what, bro? When I hear someone say these are unprecedented times now, I just think, what are they trying to sell me? You know what I'm saying?
No. When I say akhi, genuinely, I mean it's you know what it's unprecedented in the sense that who would have ever thought that we would be alive to witness such a pandemic? Yani, do you understand? So it's overwhelming, and sometimes it could be scary. You know, a lot of people are going through a lot of mental issues, and you know, unfortunately, suicide is quite quite prevalent. I've been following the news in Morocco, even in the UK. So it's tough. It's tough. It has its toll on the mental aspect of the body, and also, if you're not careful, the physiological aspect of the body. So it's that's why I say it's unprecedented times, because from face value, okay, yeah, we're in a pandemic, everyone's on a lockdown, but you know what about people who have abusive partners? What about people who have abusive parents? There's a lot of things that go on behind the title, the pandemic. You know, a lot of vulnerable people that are indoors. So that's what I mean. You know, it's genuinely, akhi, it's a whole trickle of effects on different areas and different sections of society, bro.
Absolutely. SubhanAllah, no, I mean, you touched on a few things there in a very short space of time. There's a lot of things that you touched on that I think a lot of us don't necessarily even consider. Alhamdulillah, most of us, you know, most people that I know, yourself, myself, we come from, you know, good households. You know, we're safe within these households, within these walls. You know, there's a lot of people that do suffer these things, and there's a lot of monsters living in their own homes, and now they're trapped with those monsters. So subhanallah, you know, I didn't even consider that. So I think that's one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on, bro, is because, you know, your thought process is very deep, mashallah. You analyze things very meticulously, and I think it's one of the things that has made you stand out from, you know, most other health specialists out there. So I just want to kind of touch on who you are then, Abdul Hakim, for people who you know, might not be aware of who you are. So just you know, from my side, I know Abdul Hakim as my hijama practitioner. Alhamdulillah. You know, whenever I go to see Abdul Hakim, I always leave there drained of bad blood, feeling a lot lighter, and you know, generally speaking, just feeling a lot healthier, without necessarily knowing the kind of the scientific reasons for that, whatever. It's just, generally speaking, I feel better, and it's a sunnah. So alhamdulillah, it's something that I enjoy. But you know, maybe we can get into that a bit more in this podcast.
100, bro.
But just generally speaking, then, Abdul Hakim, what's your background? Where are you from? You're Moroccan. Were you born there? Were you born here?
Okay, so alhamdulillah, I'm from Morocco. Both my parents are from Morocco. Alhamdulillah, I was born in the UK, Paddington to be precise. Alhamdulillah, grew up in northwest London with a normal education. Alhamdulillah, got my GCSEs, got the basics, the A levels, the normal process part of the system. Then went on to university, graduated with a BA, bachelor's degree in criminology. But at the same time, I was always intrigued and always interested in the aspect of health. whether it was from a medical point of view, whether it was from a holistic point of view, or a naturopathic medicine kind of approach. So from a young age, we, as my parents, growing up with my parents from a young age, my parents were quite health conscious. My father, my mother, who in Morocco, they were kind of born and bred and lived in the mountains. And as you know, subhanallah, like every summer we would go to Morocco. My granddad, may Allah have mercy on him, we would go to the mountains. And I saw a different way, or a different kind of system of living life, where, believe it or not, like the first time we would go, there was no electricity. We're talking 10 years plus, and there was no such thing as smartphones. We had the normal mobile phones and whatnot, but in those times when we did go to the mountains, there was no electricity. Light was through gas cylinders, and you had the I'm sure we have them back home. Maybe you have it in Pakistan and sub-Asian continent countries where they have like a little fabric, and you light it and the gas feeds into that kind of fabric. So it was quite kind of old school, basic, very, very, very primitive, and very, very natural, in a sense that the food that we would consume was from the earth. The cattle that we had, everything was grass fed, everything was organic. The sun, and subhanallah, like I remember going to Morocco, and my uncle, this was when I was quite young, and I saw my uncle, who was quite healthy, and he was like, in his stature, he's not really big, as in tall, but subhanallah, he was very, very strong, very, very healthy, and he was quite, his body, you could tell that his body was solid. So I said to him, in those times I was really getting into the gym and lifting the weights, and little naive, myself, Abdul Hakim, I was asking him, so like, what gym do you go to? So he looked at me and he started laughing. He's like, my nephew, like in the mountains there is no gyms in it. This is like how we live is functional movements. Going, walking, lifting, going to the water supply, lifting the barrels, just that kind of natural kind of way of life, and I loved it. And subhanallah, like the eggs were free range, like, and everything was just so natural. And I would notice certain things about my body, pertaining to my body, where when I would go, I would feel solid. And when sometimes, and because I've tried so many different types of, and this is just my journey, everyone's got a journey, because I'm kind of self-obsessed with health and nutrition, and trying to achieve optimal health by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and trying to just study more and delve into that kind of science. I was obsessed, so I really did take an interest and tried everything. And subhanallah, you can tell the difference. You can tell how healthy your body feels, because you start to feel your body. You're very, very aware within yourself. A lot of people, unfortunately, they don't know their body. They're not very aware of how they feel, very conscious of their physiological self. So obviously later on, like I said, I went to uni, I went to Saudi, got a little after uni. I went to Saudi, but I was always into that health, always into cupping, wet cupping, alternative therapies, integrated therapies, but I really didn't take it serious. It was more of a side thing for myself. And I went to Saudi, and subhanallah, unfortunately, I became very, very ill. I had an infection in my colon, which led me to have which led me afterwards on to suffer from irritable bowel syndrome, and I really suffered, subhanallah. Like, it's amazing, because I learned the importance of the gut, and I decided to go back into hijama, do hijama on myself, and I started to notice my health improving alongside not just cupping. So we have to understand that it's important to have a holistic approach on health. Health isn't just eating healthy. Health isn't just exercising. Health isn't just what you put inside your body. It's a whole package. And this is what we at Sunnah Remedies try to push. And subhanAllah, I started doing cupping, started to go back into it. And then alhamdulillah, it was me and my wife who actually founded Sunnah Remedies. And then obviously the rest is history, bro. And we've been doing it since then. So it's been, I think, 6 or 7 years now.
MashaAllah.
And
mashallah.
But obviously I was always like the first time I was exposed to like I said, from a young age, I started gym because we know gym to be And it wasn't just gym. I was always into martial arts. I was doing, many different types of martial arts. I was always into sports, always into health. But it was just an evolution, like a kind of progress and different stages of my life that kind of, alhamdulillah, progressed and moved on from that previous stage until alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, allowed us to reach to where we are today. And it's like I said, alhamdulillah, through experience, through experimenting with my own body before my clients, which obviously is very, very important, and taking certain supplements or herbal extracts or different herbs, experimenting with different herbs, different diets, and subhanAllah, learning that not everybody is the same, and my body may be different to your body, and your body will react differently to mine, and that's something that is very, very, very important. So it's not, and you learn so many, so obviously we're trying to touch on briefly, but this is how Sunnah Remedies was formed, and you obviously learn that not every it's not every size fits all kind of thing, and that's something that these are the many, many lessons that you learn throughout that journey. And that's how Sunnah Remedies was really, alhamdulillah, was brought about.
MashaAllah, man. And just talk about that transition then from actually, doing. I'm guessing that you had some sort of normal job that you were doing. You're working for somebody else, I'm guessing, and then
yeah.
And then from there you transitioned into setting up your own business. And obviously, for here at No Risk No Rizq, we're all about people who are going after their dreams and creating a business and creating a brand, based on their passions and their dreams and what they want to do. So what was that transitional moment for you where you just decided that, khalas, like, I can't do this no more, I must create Sunnah Remedies?
So believe it or not, I at one point in time I had 3 jobs.
Okay, mashallah.
So a lot of people, like, they don't know, like, I strongly believe that in order to succeed in life, it's a prerequisite and it's an obligation that you do something that you enjoy. I didn't, believe it or not, I didn't start Sunnah Remedies with the intention that it was going to be a career, or it was going to be, because I didn't really, for me, it's not a career. For me, it's a way of life. For me, it's how, obviously, yes, I do earn a living, and alhamdulillah, we all have to earn a living because that's how you survive. But my intention was, I'm going to start Sunnah Remedies to be a millionaire, and it still isn't. If I wanted to be rich, I would have done something else. But alhamdulillah, I do earn, alhamdulillah, a living, which alhamdulillah for me is, is my, like, you have your kind of brand, no risk, no rizq. As in, your rizq will come to you regardless, whether it's through hijama, whether it's through a podcast, whether it's through a business. But the main thing is trying your best to kind of do something that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, you will excel in it. A lot of people, we live in a day and age where a lot of people, they will look at something and they'll think, okay, I'm going to do it because obviously I see him. Obviously, like, we live in a day and age where social media is very prevalent, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Twitter, whatever kind of means, Snapchat, whatever it is, people are very, very deceived by the outward appearance of certain people's pages. And they think, okay, my man's doing this and he looks like he's earning, money, and they don't know that the guy's probably got debt and he's living on a credit card. And and to be honest, that's the wrong way to go about researching what you want to do in life. The reason why, alhamdulillah, obviously, first and foremost, the reason why I am where I am today, and I still have a long way to go to reach my dreams, is because first and foremost, Allah's tawfiq, Allah's permission, and the support of my family, and also because I love what I do. I genuinely, I don't know what it is, but for me, I love doing integrated therapies. I love advising people about their health. It's just from a very, very young age. This is how I've always been. Alhamdulillah, I've always been like this, and I've always enjoyed it, and I've always found myself to excel when it comes to reading. I can only read, obviously, alhamdulillah, I can read many, many books, but my obsession is reading a lot of health. My wife will tell you, reading health journals, reading medical journals, reading research, reading books pertaining to nutrition. So this is just, my advice is always do something that you love. Do something that make, what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, and I mentioned this in one of the podcasts with a brother, that I said to him, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is a famous scholar. He said that when you, say for example, as a father, when you have a child or when you have children, whether it's a son or a daughter, and you see that they have a potential or they have a gift that Allah has given them, always try to focus and try to channel a lot of energy into that specific skill or that specific talent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, and invest in that and try to push them, you know, to the heights of that particular profession. Why? Because they will excel. So for me, like I said, I was working 3 jobs. I was doing a bit of charity work that was part-time. I was working in another clinic. May Allah reward them. To be honest, akhi, they helped me a lot. I will always be indebted to them. You know, there was 2 brothers that actually opened. I think they were the first clinics to open in London before all these other clinics. They were, and subhanallah, alhamdulillah, I was very, very fortunate to work with these brothers, Brother Yassine and Dr. Iyad. Alhamdulillah, he's a doctor and he helped me a lot. He kind of, you know, I was basically his kind of, you know, he was my mentor, and I was this little what do they call it, apprentice. Protege, apprentice. And because he was a doctor at the time, I would ask him. A lot of patients would come in, and this was the very, very, very first few years that I actually started taking wet cupping and integrated therapy, sports therapies very seriously. So for example, from a medical approach, I would always have to ask him, okay, patients come in with A, B, and C in terms of medical history. They are on, method and example, blood thinners. Am I able to kind of do the procedure? Am I able to do A, B, and C? And he would kind of guide me through that process. And alhamdulillah, like, you know, I worked there for, I think, 4 to 5 years. I was with them 4 years or 5 years. And alhamdulillah, that was very, very fruitful. I took a lot from there. It wasn't a thing of I just jumped into my own kind of thing and I started doing whatever alhamdulillah, I done diplomas. I was always doing courses. It wasn't these 2-day courses, it wasn't those 3-day courses. It was a mixture. It was a lot of things. It was diplomas. It was, alhamdulillah, currently trying to we've done ICAT. We're on that path as well at the moment. So we're always learning. You're continuously learning, because a lot of people, they like to simplify hijama, which is very, very dangerous, because you're seeing patients that have chronic illnesses. You know, I'm not saying, like, yes, you have these 2-3 day courses, which they're very, very good to provide you with like a little introduction, but as in to start seeing patients who are suffering from, you know, real medical history illnesses or chronic illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous, because you know, we understand in our religion, even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, whoever takes a position of medical practice and ends up harming the patient, then he will be responsible in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's not just about getting a cup, whacking it on, making the little incisions. Akhi, we're all going to make mistakes, but make sure that you're on that path of knowing, of educating yourself and knowing what to do, when to do, and how to do.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, one of the things that I think everybody watching, you all know, is that the guests that we have on the Rizq Podcast are only the cream of the crop. You know, we only work with people who are, you know, excelling, and they're at the top of their game in whatever that may be. And you know, someone like Brother Abdul Hakim, in terms of you know, client base and customer base, you know, has worked with the likes of people like Anthony Joshua, Ottoman Azzaitar, Abu Azzaitar, mashallah, even man like Hacks goes to see you, mashallah. So, you know, there's a reason why I'm mentioning that, and that's because, you know, these are people who you know, are at the top of their game, and they're coming to Abdul Hakim for this type of treatment. So I just wanted to emphasize that point for people who are listening, you know, just to kind of really, really let this information that you're saying sink in deep, because you know, champions literally listen to your advice as well. Just on that topic, you know, people like you know, Ottoman Azzaitar, Abu Azzaitar, and Anthony Joshua, you know, what can you tell us about their mentality? Just on a bit of a side note, what can you tell us about their mentality, and what have you learned from being around them?
You know what, subhanAllah, when I done Anthony Joshua for the first time, it wasn't a thing it wasn't planned. It was a thing of, obviously, you know, I was going to do hijama and wet cupping and the grass, and, you know, integrated therapies. I was gonna do it for Brother Lats, who people know him as Healthy Mindset. And it happened to be that, you know, AJ was there and he saw, and mashallah, he wanted to try it. So, but I think he'd done his research before. But you know what? when you first meet, say for example, obviously these people are big and they're in the limelight and they're quite popular, whether it's Abu Azzaitar or Ottoman Azzaitar, and akhi, for me, obviously, because I've been working with, especially the Azzaitar family, Allahumma barik, I'm quite, close to them in the sense of I've been working with them for a while. Akhi, they all have one thing in common, which they're quite humble. Even AJ, Anthony Joshua. When you kind of first initially meet them, obviously, and generally everyone, when you first meet somebody who you've never met, you're a bit, not you're a bit cautious, and naturally, in the world that we are living in, sorry, where there is a lot of people who are only out there for their kind of personal gains, and naturally they would always have that kind of barrier up. But obviously, when you kind of start to get to know them, very, very humble, very down to earth, and it's when you're in this kind of world, everything is built on trust. Because at the end of the day, someone's coming to me with their body, someone's coming to me with their health issues, with their injuries, and trust is very, very important. You're not going to give your body to anybody, are you? Especially if your body is the means to you earning an income.
Absolutely.
And so obviously, and even in terms of obviously, yeah, you can say to you, yeah, they have a mindset of champions. They work hard. Everybody can see that they're very disciplined. They're always chasing their dreams. Even say, for example, some of us here, when we do try to chase our dreams, when we come across certain obstacles and things are not going our way, we're very, very quick to kind of, this is long, it's not working. What's the point? And I've had, me and my wife, we've had certain, many times where, bro, things have gone wrong, or things are a struggle, whether it's financially, whether it's so. And alhamdulillah, even we're still, not to say that we're millionaires or whatever, but just so many things. And even up until now, we still have to keep it. We still have to keep riding. We still have to keep going. We can't stop. We have to be consistent. Consistency is king. That is, being consistent is very, very important. So, and you learn those things from those individuals, whether it's Ottoman Azzaitar, Abu Azzaitar, or Anthony Joshua. And just trying your best to visualize your dream and going after it. And for me, character is very, very important, innit? You can be the best, but if you're someone who's quite arrogant, someone who's very nasty or not good to be around, very negative energy and always pessimistic, you don't want to be around that individual. So me personally, from the only time and the first time of meeting AJ, and alhamdulillah working with Abu Azzaitar and Ottoman Azzaitar for many, many years, alhamdulillah, their character, man. Alhamdulillah, I'm not perfect, but their character for me is very, very important. And it's cool. They're like, one of the lads, very low, down to earth. And for me, your character is very, very important. And that's going to take you a long way. And we know the importance of character in our religion.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's such an important point, and you're right, we don't tend to focus on that, because you can have all the skill, you can have all the talent, you can have all the money in the world, but if you've got a bad character, bad personality, no one's going to want to work with you anyway. So especially in the fighting game as well, because you can pick and choose who you want to fight. So if you don't like someone, you can just skip the opportunity. So I think personality and character is very, very important in succeeding nowadays. Maybe in past times you could you didn't need to, but I think nowadays that humility is so important to have, mashallah. So
and you see it, and you see it. I mean, say for example, why are these guys popular? Because they have say for example, a lot of people have called AJ the people's champion. You have Abu Azzaitar as well, because like I said, I see a lot of the charity work that he does. People like him. He don't have to do that stuff. He doesn't have to, but because he hasn't forgotten where he's come from in that sense. Do you understand? Yeah, he's sorting himself out, but at the same time, once he's sorted himself out, he's helping other people. And many people have referred to Anthony Joshua as the people's champion. Why? Because he tries to give back to his community. Because he's been there. So he don't forget. Yeah, he's doing good with himself, but at the same time, he's always giving back, and that's very, very important.
Absolutely, bro.
And Absolutely. They don't have to do that. How many athletes and how many celebrities? They don't care. They do their own thing. You have even talking about the current situation. You have big boys. You have celebrities. The likes of Victoria Beckham, who's even furloughing her staff, the people that work for her. Going to obviously that's her choice, but in a sense of you're in a position of wealth and stature where you could easily look after your clients, but You know, they say each to their own. You know, it's crazy, isn't it? You just see the difference. Like
Yeah,
Khabib, Akhi, why is Khabib, Khabib
of course, nah,
Nurmagomedov,
of course, bro. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
why is he so popular? Why do people like him? Even with the whole thing with Conor McGregor and Khabib, and Conor McGregor sending for our religion,
Hmm.
sending for his dad, sending for the people of Dagestan,
Hmm.
offending them. But Habib was very, he kept his cool, he kept his character.
Hmm.
You know, obviously in the ring it was something different. Why? Because it's in the ring, innit?
Absolutely, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
why was he so liked? Because actually his character, because he was
Hmm.
a man, that tried to be a man of God, a man of character, a man of morals. And you know, people were burning because they wanted him to react, but he didn't react.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we see character is very important, bro.
Absolutely, man, 100%. And Jazakallah for saying that, man. That's a good reminder. So I wanna kind of move more into the topic of Ramadan now. Before we get into more of the kind of the physical side of things, I wanted to speak more from from a spiritual perspective about Ramadan. In terms of Ramadan, to you personally, Abdul Hakim, what does Ramadan mean to you from in all perspectives? And for people watching this, why is Ramadan so important?
Ramadan is very important because Ramadan means salvation. Ramadan means earning the forgiveness of God. Ramadan means um, cleansing your soul. Ramadan means cleansing your heart, because we know that our heart is full of diseases, and nobody's exempt from that. And the Prophet, look, if we're talking from a religious point of view, what better example to draw upon than the example of the Prophet and the passages from the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ said in many ahadith that whoever, like he said in one hadith, that may the nose of the individual be rubbed in sand if Ramadan approach. So there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he uses the statement, may the nose of a person be rubbed in dust, and that's an Arabic metaphor or example for how can you not take the
Hmm.
opportunity, or you're like a loser if you don't take that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
opportunity. You're a big loser, like you've missed out on a big opportunity. So the Prophet ﷺ said, may the nose of the person be rubbed in dust. So there's three individuals. So the first one is if his mom and dad reach an old age and he does not attain Jannah by being of service to them. So may his nose be rubbed in dust. The second one is may his nose be rubbed in dust when the Prophet ﷺ, his name is mentioned and he doesn't say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the last one, may the individual's nose be rubbed in dust if Ramadan approaches him and he is alive to witness it, and he does not attain forgiveness for all of his sins. In a sense that these things are very, very easy to attain. So you must be someone who is very, very deprived of the mercy of Allah to not attain these things, because they are easy in essence. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever fasts Ramadan, man sama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaba, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi, that whoever fasts the month of Ramadan out of iman, out of the belief of Allah and expecting the reward from him, then his sins are forgiven, akhi. And what greater gift is there for your sins to be forgiven? To have a clean slate with your Creator. To have a clean slate with your Lord.
Bro, let me tell you something mad. Yeah, this is just something that I've been thinking about the last few days, and obviously I'm sharing this on the podcast, for everybody to watch, and it is a bit of a mad one, but as Muslims, we understand death, we understand the concept of death, and death is a very integral part of our Islam, because that is almost like the end of it's the end of the line for this test that we're in. And I was thinking about it recently, because when people die, close people, especially, like, it doesn't necessarily phase me. It doesn't necessarily affect me that deeply, not in a negative way, but just in the sense of, I understand that, this person has a soul which is now on a separate journey. It's in a different plane. It's on its way to Allah, and there's nothing that we can do about it. We do what we can to help the person in their grave, and we look forward to continuing building our good deeds. And what's mad is, I was actually thinking about death itself, and how scary that moment of death must be. When you're inches away or moments away from your death, however you're dying, that is a very, very scary thought, and that got me back on the musalla, because I was just thinking, all this work that I'm doing, in this lockdown period, I've been working very, very hard. Inshallah, we've got a new collection dropping tomorrow, inshallah, for the clothing brand, and I've been working crazy to get this complete. And just last night, as we're approaching the launch day, I was just thinking, what is the point of all of this? Is if I'm not using more time for that moment where I will have so much regret, because all these years that we've been living, we only got one destination, which is death. So why am I wasting that moment and that time? And subhanallah, like you're saying, that hadith that a person is a loser if they are not forgiven, in Ramadan. So it's like such an easy 1 month, and your whole life sins can be forgiven. SubhanAllah, it's incredible, man. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because when I ask people, do you have any questions? Obviously knowing what you do, that they were very much related to the body and health and stuff like that. But I think it's good to just have that reminder that what, this isn't a month just about not eating food. You know what I mean? It's not just about not eating food. It's about everything. So, SubhanAllah, in terms of the actual body, then a lot of people have asked questions about fasting and the body and how it's affected through fasting. So, can you just give us a bit of an idea, or an understanding towards, especially here in the UK, we have quite long fasts. Alhamdulillah, they're getting shorter now, but they're still about 17 hours long. What is going to happen to people's bodies over these next few weeks, and what can people look forward to in terms of negative effects, or certain pains or withdrawal symptoms that they might get, and then also what can they look forward to in terms of the strength and the benefit that they can gain physically through Ramadan?
Okay, before I touch upon that, I just wanted to touch upon your point about death, and I find it very death. Actually, a lot of people don't like to talk about death. It's a mood killer. You're gonna dead off the vibe, but actually, the reality is the only thing that is guaranteed in this world is death. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
And death and your rizq, death and your provision. And many, your death follows you like your rizq. So don't worry about that. But death isn't an integral part only to Muslims or Islam. Death is an integral part to the whole human race and to everything that lives.
Absolutely.
Because everything that lives is not eternal. The only eternal being is your creator, is the source, is Allah. He is the source of life. He is, and to be honest, bro, you know what proper annoys me? Actually, when people start to refer to the higher being, or and I've seen it actually done, like Muslims have done this, and it jars me so much. And it's like they always refer to the universe, or the universe will give back, and for me, actually, this is disrespectful, and this is dangerous. It can also fall into shirk. What universe? The universe is the universe. The universe can do nothing itself.
Yeah.
The universe is expanding, but what's the universe going to do? Like, what's the universe going to give you? It's not universe. It's the source of it's the source of life. It is Allah. It is the creator.
The universe is just planets and objects and dust. You know what I mean?
And it proper like all like karma, or like these things. They are dependent. The universe is dependent. The universe is not independent. The universe is expanding and will eventually cease to exist when Allah decides for it to stop existing. And for me, it's because we're Muslims here, unfortunately, we're so lost, and we just follow. We're just followers. We're not leaders. We don't want to be leaders. We just want to follow the crowd, innit? Blindly, What universe? Like, stop with this universe talk. Like, it's not a universe. It's God. It's Allah. It's the creator. Like, the universe is not going to give you nothing. Keep wanting from the universe. It's not the universe. It's Allah. Don't be. It's like they're shy. It's like they're embarrassed almost to say
they're
Allah.
They're scared to say God. Nowadays.
God, like, because you know what? Because God is the concept of God is mocked or belittled, or it's not cool enough. It's not hippie enough. It's not fashionable enough. Like, what are you talking about? Like, universe. But coming back to death anyway, you know, and for me, akhi, proper, you know what, when I see like non-Muslims doing it, obviously because non-Muslims, they don't know better. They, you know, in a sense that they don't know about, you know, God, how مثلا we know about
They
God.
don't have that knowledge in their heart, or they don't have that guide.
Yeah, because
You know what
maybe
I mean?
they haven't, maybe not all of them, but some of them, they haven't studied. But you're a Muslim and you're talking this smack.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand, akhi? Like, this is some. I don't know what you're taking, but you're taking some good stuff in it. But you know, akhi, look, well, going back to death, bro. Death is the only thing that is guaranteed in it, and whether we like it or not, you know, what's obviously like, akhi, me personally, I'm for achieving your goals in the dunya, you know, in terms of career, in terms of, you know, going out there and making money and, you know, being a hustler and, you know, it's not haram. I like the good things in life. I like nice clothes. I would like to reach a stage where I'm, inshallah, I'm comfortable, whatever it is what I do. And that's nothing haram. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for me to maybe even to test me with that, or even to bless me with that, and alhamdulillah, why not? But in the sense of, what is the point of you being successful? What is the point of you being a millionaire? What is the point of you achieving all these things when the reality is you haven't pleased Allah, and after you probably won't enjoy all of your earnings. When you do die, you know, it's going to be peak, in the sense that, what have you to show for it? You understand? Like, akhi, all those things that you acquired is not really going to benefit you. You're not really going to take it with you to the grave. So we have to really, really think smart, in a sense of, don't forget to enjoy yourself, but also don't forget the hereafter, or life after death, as we know it as Muslims, where you probably will definitely spend many eternity compared to 60, 70, 80 years in this finite, short period of life. And actually, death doesn't
Discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate whether you're white, you're black, you're Chinese, you're
young, you're
African, old. you're old, you're rich, you're a boxer, you're a ballet dancer, you're a Muay Thai fighter, you're a doctor, you're a lecturer, you're a PhD student, you have all these credentials. It doesn't care. It's coming. All it knows is coming. As soon as it gets that name, it's coming. La mahala laha, like no stopping it. You know, and this is the reality. And obviously, we always look. We always have to. And the reason why it's good to remember death, because it always brings you back to line. Like, you know what, all right, cool. You know, I'm enjoying myself, A, B, and C. But you know what? Let me not forget about the reality. And it really, you know what? It snaps you back to reality. It's always good to have that kind of balance. It's a balance, bro. It's a balance. And to be honest, Akhi, would you want to live a life that is real, or would you want to be always deceived, knowing, like, being under the false perception that, you know what, death is a long way ahead, you're not really gonna die, blah blah blah, like, or allowing yourself to believe like that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know what, the other thing that came to mind during this lockdown period was the hadith about to the nearest word, and again, I can't give a reference for this. Maybe I can add it into the caption below once I upload this. But the hadith about 40 people at your janaza. If there's 40 people, then their intercession will be accepted, or their du'as for your intercession will be accepted, along those lines. And I remember for many years I used to think 40 people, that's a minor, you know what I mean? Like, there's 10, 15 people that are always going to be in the masjid anyway, and you know, you can always get 25, 30 people from your family to get there, you know, alhamdulillah. You know, that's a minor. Why is that such a small number? And now we see with coronavirus, you can barely get 5 people, you know what I mean? 6 people at your janaza. So there are no guarantees, you know, for anything in this life. So, you know,
صح. And even that hadith, akhi, you have to understand that hadith is those amount of people have to have a correct understanding of Islam and Iman, etc., etc. You know, and also, akhi, like, okay, say for example, the shafa'ah might be accepted, and akhi, don't leave it to chance, and akhi, look, do things for yourself. Do you understand? Because okay, the shafa'ah is they're accepted, but how far is it going to take you? You still got this to be questionable. Allah's going to ask you about this and that. So it's not as simple as that, bro. I wish it was. but unfortunately it's not that clear, and it's not that simple. Now, in terms of the physiological aspect or the physiological effects of fasting on the body, we have to understand when we start to fast, and to be honest, this is not just from myself, this is from many medical journals and research, that the body goes in a state, or the body goes into a state of detoxification, where toxins are being emitted into the blood to later on be taken out of the body. A lot of people, that's why a lot of people get headaches and feel groggy, or withdrawals, because a lot of toxins are released into the blood. That's why especially the first couple of days after those kind of after those days, your body starts to clear up, your body starts to heal, your body's your DNA is being fixed, or healing itself. Your digestive system is healing itself. The body's just going through a cleanse. And without going into too much details, what you want to do, you want to optimize that cleanse, rather than fasting for those 17 hours or 18 hours or whatever it is, and then after all those hours, just undoing all those effects by eating refined food, unhealthy foods, oily foods. So you want to try to optimize the body's ability to kind of cleanse and heal.
Absolutely. And bro, just on that note then, what I wanted to do then is put some questions to you from people who are watching this right now. They're people who had questions related to their health during Ramadan. So I just wanted to put these questions to you now, inshallah, doing it something a little bit different to how we usually do with me just asking the questions. I thought it would make it more interactive with some people. So I wanted to start off with one of my good friends, Hamza Shiraz. Hamza is a professional boxer, 10-0, current WBO European champion, and only at 20 years old. So we asked him if he had any questions. Let me know if you can hear this. We haven't tested this before, but let me know if you can hear this. He's left a voice note, so if you can't, I'll repeat the question, inshallah.
During Ramadan, when does the body perform its best or at its peak training-wise?
Did you get that?
When does the body when does the body?
What's the kind of peak time for performance during Ramadan?
In terms of exercise?
Yeah.
It depends, Akhi. It depends. Again, it depends. When you're in a fasted state, your body, as we know, is in a state of ketosis, where your body starts to use. There's studies that kind of vary. Some studies say after the 12-hour period, your body starts to go into a minor state of ketosis, where your body starts to use fat as fuel, as opposed to glycogen, i.e. your carbs or your simple sugars or whatever you have stored in the liver. So it depends. For example, if you're wanting to lift weights, if you wanted to gain weight, if you wanted to do over strenuous weightlifting, then I would say after your iftar by 3 hours, just allowing your body, because obviously when you do eat, blood rushes to the stomach to help digest the food. So you don't want to be exercising straight after, when the blood is focused, or your body's focused on digesting the food. So if in terms of weights and extraneous exercises, why not? You could do 3 hours, 4 hours after your iftar. If you wanted to kind of concentrate more on burning fats or maximizing the fat burning process, I would say, me personally, I like to work out, even whether it's weights. This is what I prefer, and this is how my body kind of. I might not be able to get as much reps or do as much in terms of carry as much weight, but that's not really an issue for me. But I would do it an hour before iftar, an hour and a half before, just to optimize that kind of state of ketosis that the body goes through.
So you wouldn't do it first thing, like waking up in the morning, 10,
No
11
way.
o'clock, right? No,
No,
nothing like that.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Okay. So your best advice would be 3 or 4 hours after you've eaten your iftar, or possibly an hour and a half before iftar, because I guess by that point, you're gonna run your energy, and then you've got food coming straight away anyway. So
and you're able as well, and you're able to concentrate on your ibadah. But say, for example, if I was to do like a workout, and a very, very tough workout in the morning or after I've woken up, okay, I might go for my qaylula after dhuhr. but I might feel finished. I won't have the energy to read Quran, because we want to understand that Ramadan is not obviously, yes, as a byproduct, our body will start to get healthier, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, fasting has been prescribed for you in order that you may gain taqwa, God conscious, being God conscious. So you don't want to, it's all about the workout. No, the workout is a bonus. And alhamdulillah, if you were to follow the basics of just eating good food, your body will achieve what it needs to achieve.
Yeah, I think that's a really profound point, actually, because we should all remember that Ramadan is the month of the Quran, and that's the priority above all other things. So
of course,
if what we're doing is taking away from our ability to connect with Allah and read Quran, then again, what's the point in doing that thing? Okay, cool. So I've got 2 questions here from Zuhair Al-Qahtani. Zuhair is WBC Middle Eastern champion. He's actually got 2 questions about hijama. So this will be, of course, much related to what you guys do at Sunnah Remedies.
Akhi, a question for the brother Abdul Hakim. In regards to hijama, as a professional athlete, I tend to have a lot of problems with my legs after training or coming close to a fight. So, how much cup do you recommend, or how many cups do I need for my whole leg to feel good? And how does it work? Does it improve the blood flow? Do I need to get it on the bottom of my feet? The second question is this: can hijama improve our breathing? I.e., can we get cupping in our chest? And if so, does that help our breathing?
Did you get both those questions?
Yeah. For the first question, in terms of his legs, they feel sore. Okay, hijama could help improve the blood circulation, but you have to understand, is the brother taking, if he's having muscular issues, yes, hijama could help, but we also have to look at the nutrition. Is the brother's, how is his potassium, how is his magnesium intake? Is he getting muscle spasms? Does he have a lot of lactic acid? Yes, the wet cupping would help, but if it's something that has to be done continuous, and also incorporating dry cupping and Graston therapy to break down any scar tissue that is present, would help him a lot.
Okay, and the second question was about breathing.
The second question, in terms of breathing, akhi, what does he mean? Does he have asthma? Is it related to asthma? Is it related asthma? Yeah.
No. I'm just saying. So it would really depend on.
It would depend on
the person.
Yeah, dry cupping and wet cupping has been shown to help improve respiratory issues. So yeah, it could help. Yeah, but you have to understand, bro. It's not because the brother's asking about how many cups. You know what? A lot of people are under the illusion, the false illusion, and any illusion is false. Naturally. So it's very, very important that not to be under this illusion of how it matters. The more wet cups I do, the better it is. That's never the case. That isn't the case.
So it's not more about positioning of where it is, and the consistency of how often you do it.
Consistency and using other therapies, other integrated therapies to help assist and to help heal the actual issue.
Okay, cool. So
rather than just relying on hijama or one particular aspect. Remember how we spoke about a holistic approach?
Mm-hmm.
It's all to nutrition, hijama, integrated therapies. It's the whole package, bro. We cannot simplify the body's healing process to one method.
Mm-hmm.
And I use many different types of methods and many different therapies and many different approaches.
So it'd be worthwhile having a kind of one-to-one with you and talking it through, inshallah, rather than giving out general advice, which might be right for someone but wrong for somebody else. So
exactly, and we have to tailor every session is tailored to the person's body, to the person's health, medical condition, injuries. Because a lot of people they'll message me, they'll WhatsApp me, or they'll Instagram DM me, and they'll ask me some questions, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't give you and they'll say, I have to be real with them, innit? Sorry, I can't give you a question. Like, you have to come in for a consultation.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as simple as brother, I have this, and I have to say to you, no, I'll do this or don't do this, because I would be doing an injustice to you. And unfortunately, people in a day and age, people just want quick fixes. It doesn't work like that, especially anywhere. It doesn't work like that. If we're looking at genuinely trying to help you and sorting you out for the long term, that's not going to happen. And I don't like to shortchange my clients and my patients, you know. And for me, that's even though they will be upset, that's not my main concern is actually trying to get you better, rather than just, you know what, some people it's what you need, not what you want.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like our brother Abu Aziz, he mentioned, it's not what you need, it's not what you want, it's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. We've got another question from 360 North. She's asked, what are, if any, the links of diet with mental health and well-being, and what eating patterns should we avoid?
That's a very good question. So you have the gut is known as the second brain, where a lot of chemical processes and reactions happen, including the production of serotonin and many hormones that are related to how the body feels, how the mind feels. So if your gut is in a bad place, then these chemical processes are going to be affected. So you're not going to feel 100% here.
So the food that we eat has a direct impact on
Of
our
course.
mental health and our mental well-being.
100.
Things like, and you know what? It's funny because you mentioned a little bit earlier on that people aren't really in tune with their physiology. They don't really listen to their body, and I think that's something that I've been working on a lot more over the last 6 or 7 months, is really trying to listen to my body and listen to, not listen to, but actually see the effects of the food that I've eaten and how my productivity and how my day is going. And without a shadow of a doubt, when I'm having something dense with nutrition compared to a bottle of Cocoa Pops, you know what I mean? You have the Cocoa Pops and you feel empty inside. After an hour, you're eating again. You know what I mean? And you don't have energy, and you're just going to gain weight that way because you're putting more rubbish into your body. So are there any foods that you would recommend that are good for mental health and mental well-being?
Again, this question, Akhi, is not as simple as my advice is try to increase your intake of good quality, highly nutritious food. Get your probiotics if you can, your fermented foods. Try your best to stay away from refined foods, oily foods, high sugar, like artificial sugars and all this rubbish. Stay away from that, because the bacteria feeds on these kind of things. Maybe you want to, throughout Ramadan, maybe you want to reduce or maybe cut out your gluten content or your gluten intake, because that's what I'm going to do, inshallah. So that's it, bro.
It's interesting with the body, from my understanding, and maybe you can correct me on this one or support it, is things like, for example, toxins that are in the body attract more toxins to it, so it kind of collects in certain places. And I think that's really interesting, because it's almost like attracts like. So if you're having bad stuff, it's going to have a bad effect on your body. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You are what you eat.
100.
If you have junk, that's what's filling up your mind. Got another question here from Abdul Afia from Riyadh. Mashallah, very, very successful leadership consultant. He had a couple of questions to ask you as well. I'll play them to you now.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How you doing, brother? I pray you're well, man. Stay safe, stay strong. Okay, so I guess the question from me would probably be the standard one that flipping everybody's going to be asking, but it is what's on my mind at the moment, which is just purely what would be for somebody who's trying to cut weight. I put on way too much weight recently, okay? So what would be the ideal suhoor in the morning and the ideal iftar to break your fast with in the evening? I know the general stuff about staying away from fried food, but are there any particular foods that would be particularly helpful in cutting weight without depleting myself of energy or cutting my calories too much. Does that make sense? That would be the main question that comes to mind. Jazakallah khair. Another question probably for one of my...
We can ask the second question afterwards.
Okay, in terms of weight loss, Akhi, look, you have to understand everybody is different. People's metabolic rates are different. If there's an imbalance in hormones, that will affect. So it's not as simple as, obviously, yes, eating healthy food, trying your best to reduce. You are going to have to reduce your calories. Now, everybody, is knows that. It's not. Yes, it might not be as simple as calorie deficit. There are many things that are involved behind this calorie deficit, and it's important that the hormones, your balance is a hormone. Your hormones are balanced. Certain functions in the body are going how they should go, but you are going to have to reduce your calories. Try your best to stay away from, like we said, artificial sugars. Try your best, like I said before, iftar, have a nice little workout. And these are the advice, face value, that I can give. Pertaining to the brother specifically, this would have to be another discussion.
Right, okay, understood. There's some foods, for example, like porridge for suhoor and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have compound, you have not compound, you have complex carbohydrates that will help you to keep full for long, as they are slow releasing, and they'll help you throughout the day. So they won't tax his energy reserves as much. But regardless, that is going to happen eventually, because, like I said, if he wants to lose weight, he will have to keep his calorie intake, obviously not too low, but obviously he has to reduce his calorie intake. He can have a protein. Protein is very, very good, as it also keeps you full for longer periods. So whether it's free range, farm raised eggs, or they call them organic eggs, or unpasteurized eggs, whether it's grass-fed protein. So these things will help him to keep full throughout the day. Or he could kind of just have a suhoor that could keep him more hydrated throughout the day, whether it's watermelon, dates, not too much dates, because, as you know, dates are high in calorie as well, but they're also, mashallah, very, very highly dense in terms of nutrition and health benefits. So you won't have to take that much. A lot of people, even when breaking fast, 7, 12, 11, 15 dates. Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you doing?
So things like fried food, what type of impact does it have on the body, especially during Ramadan then?
There have been a lot of studies, in terms of the oils that are used to fry. They can block your receptors, your thyroid receptors. They could have a lot of impact on the metabolic reaction of the body. They could affect your body in many bad ways, generally speaking.
Right, okay. And are you more vulnerable on an empty stomach like that, or is it just generally speaking?
Yeah, because your body's going to absorb it much more, because you haven't eaten throughout the whole day. And the first thing that you eat, it's because because you've been in a fasted state for so long. Anything that you digest, your body's going to absorb it naturally very quicker.
Oh, subhanallah. Okay. So the if you put in bad, again going to the junk, the bad and the good, if you put in the bad, your body's going to take all of that quicker and absorb.
Especially because your body hasn't had nothing to eat for a good 17, 18 hours. So as soon as it latches on to whatever it's given, it's going to be absorbed straight away.
Right. Okay. What type of foods are you going to be having for iftar?
Okay, I'm going to be on a program, inshallah. Our brother Muhammad Bouazizi from the Delete Lifestyle. I'm going to be on his program, which is similar, but Allahumma barik, to what I normally do, but it's, mashallah, it's much more enhanced. So I'll probably have bone broth, a little bit of dates here and there, some greens, and that's about it, bro.
Right. Okay. So more soups, liquids, stuff like that, and salads.
Salads. If I am going to consume fish, some salmon, maybe a little bit of beef, good quality grass-fed beef here and there, sparingly. But yeah, that's about it.
One question that I have as well, especially on this topic of suhoor, iftar, and what you're eating, Another question that I personally had was your sleeping pattern. And I know that you mentioned sleeping in one of your recent podcasts as well, and the importance of sleep. So what would be a good sleeping pattern for people to keep? A lot of people stay up the whole night and then sleep the day. Other people who work will, still need to keep the normal, routines. What is optimal? We know the Sunnah kind of sleeping pattern. Is that what you're going to be going for as well?
Yeah, I mean, Ramadan, like I said, obviously Ramadan, sometimes you might not have a choice. You have to live with what you're given in a sense of, yeah, you might have to compromise, but there are other opportunities. Say, for example, like everyone's in lockdown, majority of people are in lockdown. This is the perfect opportunity to kind of optimize your ibadah, your health, because you're not going to work. How many times have you heard, oh, you know what, if only I didn't have to go to work, I'll be much more organized. But boy, you know what, now's the opportunity. You're in isolation, lockdown. So you can sleep off. Obviously, you can sleep after your. It depends. Some people actually they like to pray qiyam. So, for example, you would sleep after Isha, wake up last minute, because obviously this is the Ramadan. This is the probably time that you are going to be able to pray last third of the night. Maybe you want to pray a few rak'at after Isha. So you're sleeping in between that, and then after Fajr you will pray Fajr, and then you go back to sleep. Depending on whether you're going to work, you can sleep. And you try not to sleep in too late, and you obviously want to wake up before Dhuhr. But this is something personal to the person. But me personally, I would try my best to. Obviously, I've got kids, so it's very hard to get sleep anyway. Try my best to go to sleep after Dhuhr if I can, and that's it. Wherever I can. Obviously, not sleeping after Asr or sleeping after Maghrib after I've eaten. I don't really, I don't really advise it. I don't think it's healthy. So sleeping whenever you can, bro. In a sense of after Dhuhr. After Isha and after Fajr.
And things like light exercising. So we had a lot of questions about, from people who are non-athletes about general exercising. I'm guessing the same advice to them, an hour before iftar or possibly an hour or something after that.
Yeah. Like, no, as in 3 hours after iftar, or 3 hours after iftar.
Yeah.
And an hour or 2 hours before iftar.
Yeah, so that's advice for anyone, whether they're an athlete or non-athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, inshallah. And the last question that we had was from brother Habib, Bibo1701, and he asks,
many people say you should track your macros and calories. However, when you're eating out or when you're eating, say, at a friend's house, you don't know what ingredients or measurements they use. So what approach would you take to track your calories and macros in that situation?
Did you get that?
Yeah. Just enjoy yourself and don't overeat. You're invited, innit? Obviously, like, make sure that you are trying your best to... it depends, innit? If you have no choice and you're invited, try your best to eat as healthy as you can. And enjoy yourself. Just don't overeat, inshallah. We have the guideline of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that a few mouthfuls or a few morsels of food is sufficient for the son of Adam. And if he chooses to go past that, then a third for water and a third for food and a third for air, for him to breathe in, for him to actually be able to breathe. Because some people, when they're walking out of some people's houses, they're unable to breathe.
I think Taraweeh is always the funniest one, because you've always got
people breathing,
they're burping, and
so may Allah protect us, man.
I mean that's definitely one of the things that we're going to miss this Ramadan. But inshallah. Just those are the questions that are over from some of the people who participated. I just wanted to ask, I think just two last questions from myself personally. So I've been doing a bit of research in terms of things like dopamine, for example, and what I've kind of come to an understanding is that Ramadan is an amazing month for you to break habits and create new habits, because you're whatever sins that you're doing outside of Ramadan, you're not doing those anymore, which is going to change the way that your brain is operating, the way that it's making decisions, and the way that it's trying to get that dopamine hit is now different than outside of Ramadan, because you're not getting food, you're not going to have cigarettes during the day or any other type of drugs or anything like that. Whatever you're doing, you're not going to do that anymore. So what do you know about dopamine, and how can people kind of create better habits this Ramadan then based on that?
In terms of dopamine, especially when it comes to drugs, you try your best to replace. And actually, to be honest, it's a lot to do with the psyche. Try your best to, say, for example, you replace those bad things with good things. Always have a replacement, because if, say, for example, you're in a predicament where you have to leave a particular habit because every time it's associated with your dopamine levels increasing and you get that nice feeling, try your best to find an alternative, because if you can't find an alternative, you're always going to go back to that haram. And this is a concept that the scholars have spoken about in terms of commanding the good and forbidding the evil. If you are going to forbid the evil, especially people who are able to and are qualified, students of knowledge and scholars, always try to provide an alternative, because this person needs an alternative. Hence, because every time he does this bad thing, or this thing that might be harmful to his health, the dopamine levels increase. So he attributes that feeling to this particular habit. So always try to find healthy alternative or an outlet.
Absolutely. Brother Abdul Hakim, just from my side, I just want to say a massive jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for your time. I know that obviously this is obviously a time that's impacted you quite massively. You're not able to actually see any of your clients or anything like that. So, may Allah make things easy for you.
All of us.
Ameen. And may Allah increase us all as well. And I pray that your Ramadan is the best Ramadan that you've ever had so far. And inshallah, more successes to you, my bro. So I just wanted to kind of end that there and say thank you so much to you for your time.
It's a pleasure.
And I really do hope that this quarantine will be over soon, inshallah, so I can come and get my hijama done from you again. It's been a while. So inshallah, thanks so much, bro, and take care.
Barakallahu feek. It's a pleasure.